This may seem selfish to me, but I thought I might as well. I'll read aloud on one of my own fanfics. Cause it's like near 3 o'clock in the morning during the time of this recording, and I was bored. I was just doing some recordings. That's all. This is Miss Harshwhinny, the Cougar. All characters are anthro as depicted in the picture you see. Since everyone went from deciding what her fan name, since everyone went from deciding the fan name to raging on Princess Twilight and Human Monster High Lookalike Twilight, or Equestria Girls, I ended up having to design a name using this fanfiction. You can just substitute for whichever you think fits. You're a colt in his mid-20s, and you feel accomplished. You've been the head chairman, or chair pony in this case, of the Equestria Games Committee for about a month now. You're very glad that even Princess Luna recommended you to the position. All your hard work had finally paid off. One of the things you managed to do is send out Miss Harshwhinny, the veteran inspector, out to the Crystal Empire as per the committee's consensus. You have faith in her to make the decision of approving the Crystal Empire as the next host of the games, as she checks out the region there too. Soon she was dispatched and all you could do was wait. During lunch break, while the inspector was fulfilling her appointed duties, he was just warming up a microwave dinner as 2 female office workers were chuckling and gossiping. Suddenly the name Harshwhinny was whispered, and that caught your attention. You're not one to gossip, but you don't want some false rumor to ruin a hard-working mayor's reputation. You decided to butt in, politely, asking what they were talking about with her. The blonde-maned one turned to her companion. He can't be serious. You had to remind them of who they're addressing and what might happen if they didn't cooperate. Let's say they would wind up doing their gossiping elsewhere on their lunch break if what they said ends up costing Miss Harshwhinny's job. They giggled a bit. My, are you pretty much new here? Okay, you really aren't going to let this go without an answer. But instead of yelling, you just scowled. The companion, blue-maned with way too much lipstick, spoke. You sent out Juniper, of all ponies, to this year's inspection? Juniper? Your face now formed a look of confusion. Juniper Harshwhinny, the office cougar? Now you're confused and frustrated, as the nickname the mayors gave her sounded a bit offensive. It's not like that came out of the blue, said the blonde. She's been going out on dates since she's divorced. Every single Friday night. And she's always on the prowl. Always after a young stallion. She likes them young. It helps her release even when the workday's quite stressful. She's even worse when she has to do the inspection and nothing goes right. Heard one stallion got hospitalized after she got done with him. She was really frustrated when she did the inspection in Manhattan. They really screwed up when she arrived. You certainly don't like the things these girls said to Juniper. You mean Miss Harshwhinny? She even said so herself. Made it to the evening newspaper. She's a wildcat, and you better watch out. I think she's into guys like you. With that, the two got up, tossed their garbage in the can, and went out of the break room, giggling as before. This can't be good. If what they said held proverbial water, the committee made their worst decision yet, and some pony is going to pay at her mercy should the visit to the Crystal Empire botches. That afternoon, a telephone call was sent to your secretary. The Crystal Empire was approved, but the visit was downright horrible, and Harshwhinny had to depart on a train to come back to the office, expecting her to arrive around 5:30 p.m. Today is Friday. The worst-case scenario has been engaged. You kept yourself in your office until near closing time, around 8 p.m. Papers had to be dealt with, mostly arranging for the application board to approve the many participants. Harshwhinny comes into the office, by your surprise and horror. "I am here to report on my visit to the Crystal Empire," she begins. You stopped your activity and gave her your full attention. She droned on into her report. The details you made out were how she was left at the station with no welcome from anyone, how she got splashed on twice, and how no one even helped her with her heavy gem-encrusted travel bag. She also began to display anger and frustration over her miserable experiences, including the encounters with Princess Cadence at a spa. He was told that all was made up in the end, but she was still furious. It was almost instantly when she shot her eyes at yours after delivering her report. It was a fury, but it slowly became a look of hunger and lust. Uh-oh. "Say," she said, "you seemed bored of this. Mind if I excite you a bit?" Yep. She has you right in her sights. She's even readying for a pounce, climbing up on your desk, pressing her face against yours. You seem tense. I think you need to relax a bit. She's rubbing your shoulders, moving up to hold your face as she kisses you deeply and without warning. It took you by complete surprise as your eyes shot open and your tongue was violated by hers. It might be hot, even a tad stimulating, but this feels wrong. She's an inspector, your co-worker, and she's even older than you, in her late 30s no less. She continued her kiss as she took off her purple blazer, without even letting lips depart for even a breath. She then tosses her scarf off hastily and fumbled with the buttons on her shirt. After a few buttons, she tightly embraced you, rubbing her body against yours. Right away, you do notice how she's surprisingly well endowed for a mare her age. She's also not very skinny, only a little fat in certain places. She smells of some sweat, but a hint of strawberry. You seem turned on by this, just enough to catch her attention. She broke off the kiss just to see what was poking her. She smiles evilly. It was your hardening stallionhood, making its way upwards. This guy needs it much more, she proudly proclaimed. You curse your body for betraying you, while she slips down and unzips your pants. Upon pulling them down, your cock lurches out. Juniper is amazed by it. It's big, but it's still erecting. Could have sworn you even saw her drool a bit, displaying a sudden desire to play with it. She rubs your cock up and down, smoothly as it reaches full length. She's impressed. You're pretty much the biggest I've seen. You're not one to brag, but you do feel a little boost in your ego. She then puts your fully hardened member into her mouth and blows you. The moment her tongue touches your cock, a sweeping euphoric feeling overwhelmed you. And with her tongue play, you were really glad she seemed to know exactly what she's doing. She's doing it a little too well. You seemed to feel the urge to come. You had to let her know, so you fought through your euphoric experience and told her you were ready to blow, so to speak. She didn't even stop. Seems Harshwhinny wants to taste your cum. She continued to blow, and within seconds, you unload in her mouth. Her mouth seeped a bit, but she wiped it off and swallowed the rest. She became a little off, as if something in your semen tasted a bit off to her. "Is this pre-cum?" she exclaimed. "You can't be serious." You didn't get a chance to earlier, but you pretty much told her straight up you're a virgin. No sexual experience, and you're only released for a while in your younger days, had to be satisfied with a tissue and a bottle of moisturizer. Her face went from anger and confusion to sexual desire and lust. A virgin, she snickered. A wicked-looking smile stretched across her face. Interesting. The fact that you're a virgin wasn't going to deter her. Now she's more determined to make you hers. You're trapped. Even more so as she quickly made her way to the only door to your office and lock it. She turns to you, chuckling dementedly. You don't need a doctor to tell you that you're the next victim of the wild cougar known as Miss Juniper Harshwhinny. You stumbled for a bit and back into a corner. Oh, don't be afraid, she assures you in her seductive tone. Experience is the best teacher, and you'll thank me for this. Your mind says I'm fucked, but you're still alright to cock wants to be fucked. It's like your body is going on its own accord, and you can only watch as Harshwhinny undoes her suit pants and exposes her wet, dripping pussy. You know, I've been eyeing you for a while, and you're such a handsome young colt. I think it'd be an honor to make you a stallion worthy of me. You still felt uneasy, yet also a bit horny. It's evident by your member throbbing about the pulse of your heart and the tightness in your chest. Might as well enjoy it, since you're going to be stuck with her until she lets you. She positions above you and guides herself to your cock. As you two touched, you can feel how warm she was. Any hotter, and she would have been able to cook the dinner you had at lunch. She pushes herself down, emitting moans of pressure and pain. Yours is much bigger than the others. I hope I can handle it. Sure enough, your cock makes it into her. It's a very tight fit. You can feel everything within her. It's driving your hormones wild. Now Juniper moves up and down on your hard cock. Her pussy juice is the perfect lubricant for the ride she wants. As she slides up and down on you, she was displaying some aggressive faces, some with a devilish smile. You was even moving yourself in rhythm of her grinds, mostly on your sexual instinct. But frankly, you might as well be doing something. You was even grinding your teeth, as your mind couldn't think straight anymore. It might be wrong to let her do this to you, but at the moment it felt so right. It felt even more right to her, as your movement was also enhancing her pleasure. One look and she looked like a sexual beast. Her mane became messy, her tits bouncing around in a black bra, and her dress shirt was barely clinging on her shoulders. She also looked like she just can't get enough of your cock, becoming more addicted to it than a junkie is to heroin. You're both about to climax, and your cock is ready to fire. Both you and her picked up the pace, going faster than before. Soon enough, you both locked up as you came once more, in her pussy. She smiles as she feels your juices fill her, some overflowing and seeping out. At the moment, your brain snaps and you lose control of your own body. You lurched up and pinned her to the floor, going for round 2, but this time she's at your mercy. She is the one who is watching you in shock now, but at the same time impressed. Seems you're the first to take the reins during intercourse, judging by her expression. As you continued on, and even changing positions, she grew to like it more and more. Soon you were only paying attention to the two of you, each taking turns being on top, and the one doing all the work. Both turns resulting in a very accomplishing orgasm and an overflow of sexual juices. It's almost 9 now, and the sun has set. Luna's moon shone through the office windows onto the two of you, tired and covered in sweat and cum. You two are breathing heavily, too worn to move much. The sex has drained all of your energy. Then Harshwhinny began to chuckle. Why is she laughing now? Never in my single life have I encountered such a bold one like you. Everyone else just lets me do all the work, and sometimes the frustrations of this job drives me nuts. I bet you heard of the incident after my inspection in Manhattan? You nodded. I was too rough with him, and his pelvis broke. Stressful, really. and the only way I can unwind is through this. All just lied there, but you. I don't know what it was, but you took action and made me your bitch, if you pardon my language, of course. Her language should be the least of her concerns. Would it be alright, sir, if you be interested in a friendship with benefits? That way you'll be my only way to sanity should this get a little too much. How could you refuse? A hot, experienced mare who is offering you to be hers, and she's your very first sexual experience ever. You said yes. Now the two of you are pretty much fuck buddies, and the Cougar inspector of the Equestria Games Committee is now tamed. Two problems are now solved, despite the means to. But there is another issue at hand. How do you get out of an office building full of security cameras and guards? The end.